From poison and firing squads into heart attacks, exile, and pure karma, this is how the world's deadliest dictators finally met their end. Some went out in a blaze of bullets, others in silence and denial. Every one of them learned the same truth. Power doesn't stop death. I'm Agent X, and this is your classified briefing: how the world's deadliest dictators died. In April 1945, Berlin was burning. Hitler hid underground, convinced his 1,000-year Reich had collapsed because everyone betrayed him. For days, he ranted, planned imaginary counterattacks, and tested cyanide on his dog. On April 30th, as Soviet shells hit the city, he sat beside his wife, Eva Braun, bit down on cyanide, and fired his pistol. His guards burned the bodies outside the bunker. His final written words: "I choose death before disgrace." No escape, no miracle island, just ashes and propaganda. Benito Mussolini. Mussolini once called himself the man of destiny. By 1945, Destiny had a firing squad. Captured while fleeing Italy dressed as a German soldier, he and his mistress Clara Petacci were executed by partisans. Their bodies were hung upside down in Milan's main square. The same crowd that once saluted him now threw stones. Power evaporated faster than applause. Joseph Stalin. On March 1st, 1953, Stalin suffered a massive stroke after a night of drinking. His guards waited hours before checking, too afraid to interrupt him. When they finally entered, he was on the floor, eyes open, unable to speak, soaked in spilled tea. For 2 days, the dictator who silenced millions couldn't call for help. He died gasping for air, surrounded by terrified staff. Fear had kept him alive, and fear made sure no one saved him. Mao Zedong. Mao ruled China like a god. But even gods get heart attacks. By 1976, his organs were failing from Parkinson's and lung disease. He spent his final days barely conscious, breathing through machines. His last directive: "Don't preserve my body." The party ignored him. Today, Mao's corpse lies embalmed in Beijing, glowing under red light's immortality, whether he wanted it or not. Francisco Franco, Spain's dictator, ruled for 36 years. By 1975, he was a walking hospital chart: heart failure, infections, surgeries. Doctors replaced organs like car parts just to keep him breathing. When his heart finally stopped, they tried to restart it twice. Franco still wouldn't let go, but death did what revolutionaries couldn't. Pol Pot, the man behind Cambodia's killing fields, was hiding in the jungle in 1998 when his own men turned on him. Hours before he was to be handed over to international forces, he died. Official cause: heart attack. Unofficial story: cyanide to avoid capture. His last words: "I'm not afraid to die." No tomb, no trial, just ashes in a jungle. Saddam Hussein. After the Iraq War, U.S. forces found Saddam hiding in a hole near Tikrit. He was captured, tried, and sentenced to hang. On December 30th, 2006, his final words echoed through the gallows: "Down with the traitors, long live Iraq." Seconds later, snap. The man who built palaces died on a rope. Muammar Gaddafi. For 42 years, Gaddafi called himself brother leader. In 2011, rebels caught him fleeing in a convoy near Sirte. He crawled into a drainage pipe. When they found him, the crowd beat and shot him. His golden pistol became the symbol of his downfall. His last plea: "What did I do to you?" Everything. Apparently, Kim Jong-il, the dear leader of North Korea, died as he lived, on a private train full of luxury snacks. Officially, heart attack. State media called it an act of cosmic sorrow. Behind the scenes, his son Kim Jong-un was already seizing control. The dynasty survived. The man didn't. Idi Amin, Uganda's butcher, fled into exile after killing hundreds of thousands. He spent his final years in Saudi Arabia, living in comfort, unpunished. In 2003, kidney failure put him in a coma. He died quietly in a hospital bed. The only time his country truly knew peace. No trial, no justice, just silence. Augusto Pinochet, Chile's dictator, evaded arrest for decades, protected by politics and wealth. In 2006, he suffered heart failure at 91. Even then, he blamed communist lies. His death certificate listed the cause as natural. His victims would disagree. Slobodan Milosevic, the butcher of the Balkans, died in his cell at The Hague in 2006. Officially, heart attack. Unofficially, he'd been self-medicating to avoid extradition. Justice outlived him by 1 day. Nicolae Ceausescu. On Christmas Day, 1989, after decades of cult rule, Ceausescu and his wife were captured a 2-hour trial, a 2-minute verdict. They were executed by firing squad on live TV. Their final words: "Long live the Socialist Republic of Romania. Merry Christmas, Rafael Trujillo." They called him El Jefe. For 3 decades, Rafael Trujillo ruled the Dominican Republic like his own plantation, a man obsessed with wealth, vanity, and revenge. He renamed cities after himself, filled the nation with statues of his face, and made sure every prayer in church ended with his name. But his empire of mirrors finally cracked. By 1961, U.S. intelligence had turned on him, and local conspirators plotted an ambush on the highway outside Santo Domingo. That night, as Trujillo's blue Chevy sped through the darkness, a group of rebels opened fire. 50 rounds. The self-proclaimed benefactor of the nation died, slumped over the wheel, his pistol still in his lap. Ironically, the man who survived countless assassination attempts met his end on his own nightly commute. Even his killers didn't live long. Trujillo's secret police hunted them down within weeks. Ferdinand Marcos. In the Philippines, Ferdinand Marcos turned democracy into a dynasty. After declaring martial law in 1972, he ruled with an iron pen, signing decrees, jailing critics, and siphoning billions into Swiss banks. He and his wife Imelda lived like royalty while the country drowned in debt. By 1986, people had enough. The People Power Revolution filled the streets of Manila with millions chanting "Marcos resign." Cornered, Marcos fled the palace in a U.S. helicopter, a dictator escaping by air. He spent his final years in luxury exile in Hawaii, his body failing while his family plotted a comeback. In 1989, he died of heart failure, surrounded not by crowds but IV drips and silence. Even in death, he refused to disappear. His embalmed body still lies in a glass tomb back home, smiling under perfect lighting, a dictator's final illusion, immortality through cosmetics. Kim Il-sung, North Korea's original eternal leader, was larger than life. Literally, his statues towered over cities, his face printed on every home, his story rewritten daily. In 1994, the God King finally fell mortal. Doctors raced to revive him after a massive heart attack, but propaganda said the heavens themselves wept. Within hours, his son Kim Jong-il seized control, proving in North Korea even death can be inherited. His tomb now glows under red light, a frozen kingdom trapped between worship and fear. Haile Selassie, once hailed as a living god by the Rastafari movement. Haile Selassie I was Ethiopia's modernizer and its last emperor. He built railways, fought Italy, spoke at the UN, but ignored famine and dissent until the army revolted. In 1974, his own guards arrested him. 1 year later, they found him dead in his bed. Officially, respiratory failure. Unofficially, smothered with a pillow. His body was buried under the floor of a bathroom in the royal palace. The emperor, who once had a golden throne, reduced to a secret under a toilet. Hideki Tojo, Japan's wartime prime minister Hideki Tojo, planned the attack on Pearl Harbor and paid the price. When American troops reached Tokyo, Tojo tried to shoot himself in the chest, but missed his heart. U.S. doctors patched him up just so he could stand trial. At the Tokyo trials, he accepted responsibility and bowed before the court. On December 23, 1948, he was hanged alongside 6 others. His final words: "I pray for the peace of all nations." From architect of war to prisoner of peace, the irony writes itself. From luxury trains to prison cells, from bunkers to basements, every dictator shared the same ending. A fall. They ruled with fear, but in their final moments, all that remained was silence, regret, or nothing at all. Power can delay death. It can't outsmart it. This is Agent X. Debrief over. Hit that like, drop a comment, and subscribe so you never miss another classified drop.